The backlash and the uproar online grew so loud that tonight the company is hitting rewind on that rebrand, bringing us back to, well, Barrel 1.
Cracker Barrel is one of those iconic American restaurants that immediately calls to mind rocking chairs on a front porch, country comfort food, and a sense of nostalgia wrapped in Southern hospitality. Since its founding in 1969 in Lebanon, Tennessee, the chain has been a roadside favorite for travelers and families alike, blending hearty meals with rustic decor and a cozy general store atmosphere. But recently, the beloved brand found itself at the center of a cultural storm when it attempted to modernize its image by unveiling a new logo and tweaking its traditional aesthetic. This is the story of how Cracker Barrel's attempt at rebranding backfired. The logo redesign and immediate backlash. When Cracker Barrel rolled out its new logo on August 18, 2025, the move was intended to represent a streamlined, modern identity that executives hoped would attract new customers and refresh the brand. Instead of featuring the traditional image of a man leaning against a barrel, a character affectionately known as the Old Timer or Uncle Herschel, the logo displayed only the company's name in a simplified minimalist font. On paper, this shift mirrored broader industry trends towards flatter, cleaner logos that are easier to scale on digital platforms. But for a brand so tightly associated with nostalgia, the change struck many as tone-deaf. The response was swift and overwhelmingly negative. Fans flooded social media with complaints, arguing that the redesign erased the unique personality that had defined Cracker Barrel for over half a century. Critics pointed out that the restaurant's appeal was never about sleek modernism, but rather about transporting diners into a bygone era of country simplicity. The removal of the Old Timer, they argued, symbolized a departure from everything that made the restaurant special. Posts online accused the company of going woke, claiming the redesign was an attempt to sanitize and corporatize a brand that was supposed to embody authenticity. Even political figures weighed in. President Donald Trump, known for speaking directly to cultural flashpoints, took to his social platform to warn Cracker Barrel against abandoning its heritage. He encouraged the brand to reconsider, praising the value of tradition and the importance of listening to loyal customers. Trump's involvement only magnified the backlash, putting the additional pressure on the company to reverse course. His message framed the redesign not just as a branding decision, but as part of a larger cultural divide between preserving tradition and embracing change. Inside the company, executives quickly realized the scale of the miscalculation. What was intended to be a forward-thinking refresh had turned into a public relations crisis. The logo change became a symbol of corporate detachment from the very audience that had sustained the chain for decades. Cracker Barrel's statement and reversal.
What is old is new again, and I am referring to that, the Cracker Barrel logo, as you can see here on social media, courtesy of Fox News, that the Cracker Barrel announcing it's changing the logo back after this rebrand. And I know there was a lot of outrage around this as Cracker Barrel found itself at odds with its fans.
Within days of the backlash, Cracker Barrel issued a public statement acknowledging the concerns of its customers and announcing that it would restore the Old Timer to its logo. The company framed the decision as a demonstration of listening to its guests, emphasizing that its values remained rooted in tradition and hospitality. Quote, "We thank our guests for sharing your voices and love for Cracker Barrel," the statement read. "We said we would listen, and we have. Our new logo is going away, and our Old Timer will remain. At Cracker Barrel, it's always been, and always will be, about serving up delicious food, warm welcomes, and the kind of country hospitality that feels like family." This response reflected not only a recognition of customer sentiment, but also a careful attempt to position the reversal as a positive reaffirmation of the company's identity. By emphasizing the role of tradition, Cracker Barrel sought to reassure its core audience that the brand's heart remained unchanged. In doing so, it avoided doubling down on the rebrand, a mistake that has sunk other companies facing cultural backlash. Politicians and conservative activists celebrated the announcement as a cultural victory. Deputy White House Chief of Staff Taylor Budowich revealed that Cracker Barrel had personally reached out to thank President Trump for his input, acknowledging that his voice had helped influence the decision. Online, conservative influencers and organizations declared the reversal proof that consumer pressure would fight back against what they described as corporate attempts at woke branding. Quote, "This is a big win in the culture war for America," wrote Bridget Gabriel of Act for America. Polling company Rasmussen Reports jokingly posted, "Update, woke management goes over Niagara Falls in a barrel." Not everyone viewed the reversal in purely political terms, however. Branding experts argued that the failed logo redesign highlighted the risks of deviating from a company's established narrative. David Johnson, CEO of Strategic Vision PR Group, explained that Cracker Barrel had gone against its brand's story, which relied on its old-fashioned imagery to reinforce the whimsical, nostalgic atmosphere of its restaurants. By abandoning that imagery, the company undermined its own appeal. The decision to restore the old logo was not about appeasing critics, it was about realigning with the story that had made the company successful. The role of tradition in Cracker Barrel's identity.
My first thought was, why? I mean, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And it's certainly not broke.
It's always been Cracker Barrel like it is, so I'd like for it to stay like it is.
Cracker Barrel's success has always been rooted in more than its food. The chain has carefully cultivated an atmosphere that evokes the American South of decades past, complete with front porches lined with rocking chairs, walls adorned with antique memorabilia, and general stores filled with nostalgic trinkets. For many customers, visiting Cracker Barrel is as much about the experience as it is about the menu. That experience hinges on a sense of continuity and tradition, making any deviation from its established identity particularly noticeable. The old-timer character was more than a logo. To fans, he represented the brand's personality, a friendly figure who tied the restaurant's imagery to its broader themes of comfort, hospitality, and familiarity. Removing him wasn't just a cosmetic change, it symbolized, in the eyes of many, an attempt to erase the company's soul. This explains why the backlash was so visceral compared to reactions to other corporate rebrands. For Cracker Barrel, heritage wasn't just decoration, it was the foundation of its appeal. Other restaurant chains have experimented with modernization, but they often walk a fine line between updating their image and alienating their base. In Cracker Barrel's case, its rural Americana aesthetic had remained relatively untouched for decades. Fans came to expect that consistency, and many were fiercely protective of it. Political and cultural reactions.
It's just another tragedy. This is another iconic American brand that they've destroyed. So they got rid of the old gentleman. They got rid of the barrel. They got rid of the Southern charm. They got rid of all the Americana, and they created this ridiculous logo that a kid could have done. But I think they paid millions and millions of dollars for someone to get rid of all of it and come up with something generic.
The Cracker Barrel controversy quickly became part of the larger conversation around so-called woke corporate changes. In recent years, major brands have faced backlash for decisions that were perceived as politically motivated or overly focused on social trends rather than consumer preferences. For conservatives, Cracker Barrel's reversal became a rallying point, a rare example of a company listening to traditionalist voices rather than ignoring them. Activists and commentators on the right amplified these sentiments. Influencer Rogan O'Handley, better known as DC Drano, urged Cracker Barrel to go even further, calling for the firing of, quote, woke girl bosses and the elimination of diversity policies. While his remarks were more extreme than the company's actual actions, they reflected the way the logo controversy became absorbed into wider debates over identity politics and corporate responsibility. The business impact and future outlook.
People actually care about Cracker Barrel. They care about your logo. And that's a good thing. In what world is that anything but a good thing?
Well,
you have something to work with.
The stock came back, which is a good thing, after they lost $143 million in market value because of this revamp. But this is great news. Look, they listen to the customer. Everyone loves a story like this. When they made a mistake, they say, I'm sorry. Now everyone's going to flock to Cracker Barrel.
Beyond the political and cultural commentary, Cracker Barrel also faced real business consequences from its rebranding attempt. Shares in the company fell roughly 7% after the logo change was unveiled, reflecting investor concerns about the direction of the brand under CEO Julie Fels-Massino. Her broader strategic transformation plan, announced in May 2024, had already sparked skepticism among shareholders, who worried that the push to modernize risked alienating the chain's loyal base. The logo controversy validated those fears. For investors, the backlash demonstrated that Cracker Barrel's strength lay in its established identity, not in attempts to compete with modern fast casual chains. Analysts warned that the company's missteps showed the importance of aligning business strategies with brand narratives. In other words, while updates to menu offerings or digital infrastructure might be welcomed, changes that undermine the brand's heritage could prove costly. Looking ahead, the incident raises questions about how Cracker Barrel will navigate the balance between modernization and tradition. While the company must adapt to evolving markets and consumer expectations, its loyal base has made it clear that certain elements of its identity, like the old-timer, are non-negotiable. Now it's time to hear from you. Do you think Cracker Barrel was right to restore its classic logo after the backlash? Let us know in the comments section below.